St. Patrick's Day Scout of the Riverway Campground at William O'Brien State Park at Marine on St. Croix, Minnesota. Alright, so we are at William O'Brien State Park, located in Marine on St. Croix, Minnesota. Now today is St. Patrick's Day. Last year I attempted a scout here on the same day, but ran into some issues, so I had to bail and I went and scouted another campground. So today the mission is to scout the Riverway Campground and the Savannah Campground as well. It's a little bit of an ambitious scout. We did have a blizzard a couple days ago, so the snow is going to be pretty deep, and it's pretty frigid out as well, and it's bright. So to our left will be the Riverway Campground, and to our right will be the Savannah Campground. But we're going to start off by checking out the Riverway Campground. Now we're not going to be able to do a pre-scout and drive down there because they barricade the road, as you can see right here. So it's going to be purely on foot. Check it out. We'll probably check out the Riverside Group Camp as well. The snow should be pretty deep, so I don't know if there's going to be much efficacy associated with this scout, but we're still going to take a stab at it. We're going to park over here in the visitor center area. Alright, so I'm going to just take a little bit of sustenance, gear up. We're going to pop out and head on out down there. Let's go. So it's about -3 degrees Fahrenheit right now. We had a blizzard like 2 days ago. Low wind though, about 2 miles per hour. That's 2 degrees Fahrenheit now. Alright, so this is the road you would take to get to the Riverway Campground. Now this campground was under construction for the last 2 years. I was gonna scout it last year, however, it was under construction. The construction took about a year longer than I was thinking it would. But sadly, now that the construction is completed, coincidentally, Lake Alice is totally drained, supposedly. So I guess they're gonna work on filling that back up. Now this road is looking pretty clear. I didn't expect that, given it's barricaded. And I don't expect the campground to be plowed at all, and I am expecting fairly deep snow. Now I didn't want to bail on this scout. I wanted to attempt it still, mainly for the sake of mental health and physical health. But I didn't want life to deter me on another Paddy's Day from scouting the state park, which I'm kind of getting real OCD about. I'm kind of determined to scout these campgrounds here on Paddy's Day. So the snow might be so deep you cannot even see the fire pits. It's probably about a mile hiking on the road. This road up here is 95. 95. So this Riverway Campground has about 2.5 loops, roughly. And there's about 60 sites. And there's a mixture of electric and non-electric. And the numbering for the campground here, it starts off at the Riverway, and the numbering system picks up and continues on in the Savannah Campground, which we're going to attempt to scout after this campground. And the Savannah Campground has 4 loops, but in the winter season here, only one of them is open. And there's also about 6 camper cabins near that first loop that's open all year round as well. And that's right alongside a really cool hiking trail that can take you into various directions. I recommend going by the Beaver Dam Trail. Might be Beaver Lodge Trail. So here, Lake Alice down here. And this road is gonna go down and turn and pick up alongside down there. I think this is gonna be maybe it's just my second time being down here. I can't recall more than one attempt. So I did scout this campground back in, I believe, 2023. I didn't keep any of that footage though, because I kind of just gave up on it after scouting it. I just said, it's not really the campground for me. And I think mainly it was due to the close quarters neighbors, which is usually the main hindrance that I encounter. This will probably be about 10 minutes to get down there. I don't like to edit the footage. I like to provide this for informational purposes, so you can kind of see the whole thing inch by inch with the GPS coordinates. Help you plan, prepare. And the Riverside group camp is down here as well. So there's, I believe, about four group camps total in this state park, and 3 of them are kind of clustered near each other, near the Savannah campground. And there are about 2 walk-in sites as well near there as well. I don't plan on scouting those today, but I do have a hike at this state park. And in that hike, I walk through that area and take a look at them. I might clip it and do a dedicated video just of that. And those sites have a little promise. Ultimately, I wasn't a big fan because of the close quarters, potential energy with neighbors. I do have a little bit of gear today, so I'm wearing my rain over gear / windbreaks. I got the Gore-Tex trousers or pants, and they sound a little bit like a loaded diaper. So you might hear like a heavily filled diaper sound. This is going to be my second scout of 2026. Taking it a little easier this year. I was pretty aggressive last year. I'm still getting caught up with my footage from last year, which will probably take another month or maybe 2. I'm not really rushing through completing it. I kind of don't want to feel forced when I do it. I want to do it when I feel inspired to work on it. That way I'm not cutting corners and rushing through it. But the scout before this one last month was at Mille Lacs State Park, the 4 backpack sites. And that scout, it went off without a hitch. It's one of the type of scouts that I really hope every scout would be like, essentially. It went very well. So I recommend you check that out if you're interested in taking a look at those backpack sites and seeing some of the hiking trails in Mille Lacs State Park, which is one of my favorite state parks here in Minnesota. Here we got a Riverside Trail. So if I were to camp at this campground, this Riverway Campground we're about to take a look at, I'll definitely try to do a hike on the Riverside Trail. Now, some of the trails here are closed for skiing only. However, this part of the park, they allow you to hike on these trails here, so they're not closed off for people who have a ski pass. So you can hike these trails in the winter as well. You might want to don some mucklucks. They're not the most fashionable thing to wear. However, I gave myself 105% probability that with these and the rain over Gore-Tex cold weather trousers, I would have no snow inside of them. Now we're going to head over to the Riverway Campground, and we're going to be walking alongside Lake Alice, which will always be Lake Alice to me, whether or not it has water in it. Yeah, so I got the double merino wool balaclavas, and I got the merino wool hoodie. I think that's a 250 GM or G or whatever. And a rain over shell jacket, cold weather Gore-Tex, mucklucks. I guess extreme cold weather mucklucks. I got the chest rig under here, which I don't like the way it makes me look. Sometimes we sacrifice aesthetics for practicality, and only for practicality. I do got the Rush 511 24-hour pack. It's kind of my standard go-to for these type of scouts. I got the boonie hat holding up the body cam. I was a little concerned about the cold, even though I had the gear to handle it. A bigger concern of mine was the depth of the snow and how we might not be able to see much. But so far, so good. And the wind was another mild factor, but the wind is almost non-existent, so we're lucking out on that one. There's a bench over here, so we probably got some trail action. Yep, some literature over there, some interpretive literature, probably about Lake Alice. This is kind of an ambitious scout today with all the sites we're going to cover, which is over 100 sites. So I'm going to keep it moving. I don't plan to look at the group camps or the walk-in sites. The main goal for today, St. Patrick's Day 2026, was to scout the Riverway Campground #1, possibly the Riverside Group Camp, which we already polished off, and then finally the Savannah Campground, which has a lot of campsites in it. And only the first loop is open, so 3 of the loops will not have anybody in them. However, I think walking inside and out all of them might not be practical, but I'll do what seems best. Try to give you a good idea what they look like. We got Lake Alice. Yep, there's a sign for it right there. I remember that. I was just thinking about that. I'm actually starting to sweat a little bit in the upper body. I gotta watch out. That's mainly because of the pack and the chest rig. But it keeps me warm as well. But it creates sweat. I do got the baby alpaca wool socks as well, doubled up, so 2 socks on each foot. I just hope they're not cruel to the baby alpacas. That's bothering me. So here it is. Everywhere a sign. Going against the sunlight. This one is going on the sunlight, so you're going to get a better exposure. Last time I was here, my life was fairly different than it is now. Definitely in a totally different line of work, that's for sure. There's a guy on YouTube called Stinkleberry Farmer, and he says that William O'Brien State Park is kind of his home base. And for me, my home base is Afton State Park. But he did a camp here recently, this year, so you should check that out. He has other camps at this state park as well. So you should check those out as well if you want to learn more about this state park, see more of it. And again, I do have that hiking video that I did last year, I believe. It might have been 2024 already. Yeah, I think I didn't camp here last year in 25. So yeah, that was fall of 24 that I camped and did that hike video. Okay, so we are approaching the Riverway Campground. As you can see, it's about a mile in from where we parked. There's kind of a lot of sights here. Yeah, it feels good to be back here. The good thing about this weather is that there probably won't be a lot of people with bright colored clothing and talking loudly to each other. That kind of turds the footage punch bowl a little. I can't recall if I was able to drive here when I first got here. I don't think I was, because I remember hiking in and seeing the Lake Alice sign. It definitely wasn't this snowy. I don't even think I took any pictures of it. Just have the memories. We all know how memories are. They can lie to you or become false over the years. There's some parking here, visitor parking. And you can take this trail to the day use area down there, which we're not going to take a look at. However, you can see it from here. So that is close. So you have the day use area to pull from for activities if you are camping in this campground. So the snow isn't as deep as I was thinking it would be. So the decision to come here was a good move. That's good to know. So we got loop 1, loop 2, and then a partial loop 3, and then some sites along the way here as well. So to prevent backtracking, I'm not going to go in numerical order. Initially starting out though, we will be going in numerical order. Yeah, I think when I first came here, this site number 1 actually called out to me. So we got site number 1 here. Yeah, I can see just fine. Just can't see the ground, roots and rocks. It's good to have a little mystery though, you know. This will help you figure out if it's right for you for the most part. I like this rock right here. I'm always a big fan of rocks. So a common theme throughout this campground will be the close quarters of the neighbors. I can almost guarantee you there's a little creepy courtesy path here as well, a footpath between the sites. I'm gonna drop one of my upper layers real quick. This shell layer jacket it's not lined with merino wool, unfortunately, so it will not have good wicking and insulation capabilities, moisture absorption for wicking, but I'm gonna have to cut back on the insulation because I'm starting to sweat too much. You know, don't mind if I do actually. So, one moment please. That's more relaxing. There's a guy called Tolber's Camping. Tolber's Camping. And he's doing a camp video once. And there's a part in the video where he put on some lights, some mood lights, and he electrocuted them so they turned on. And when they came on, he said, that's more relaxing. So if I say that, that was inspired by Tolber's Camping. There's another guy called Joel Candy Adventures, he's his buddy, but he kind of tries to grift off of Tolber's success. Notice I've been aiming my camera down too much, so I gotta be aware of that. I can't see what it looks like while I'm doing it, but when I get to the sight poles, I notice I'll tilt down and I'm actually just going way too low. So I'll try this. Sight 1, not bad. The good thing I like about this site is there's no neighbors on this side, but you're gonna have all the incoming traffic lights of the vehicles. Oh, we got 2 on the left here and 3 on the right. Oh, site 2. And we're right next to this site. I do like the fencing though. Got to remember to look up for widowmakers. It's too bad they didn't just keep the fence going here. See, now you got this creepy back door. If you're unfortunate enough to have a privert as your camp neighbor. So I'm going to try to keep things moving here because we've got a lot of sites to go through. And we got more than enough time today, so I'm probably going to, this will probably be a long one. You know, I skip ahead and jump to different parts. I kind of stopped time stamping for the most part because I figured people should earn it. They should figure out where it is in the video. They should give it a little bit of viewage. People don't like doing that. We got site 3. I will timestamp the backpack sites though, because there's not too many of them, and the hike in can be kind of long, and the hike out as well, so I show both. Remember not move my head too frantically. Yeah, so I'll just stop saying it, but close quarters. Every site here is going to have close quarters. And if it doesn't, I'll call that out. How about that? Site 3. Oh, this site here that we saw next to that one was actually, the entrance is right over here. That's site 4. Oh, I like this little nook and cranny area here. Yeah. We're getting a little bit overcast. That's nice. Nice little filter. It is pretty bright out here. Probably hard to see. Like that number 6. It's probably hard to see facing the sun. We got some electric here. And you're just surrounded by their sites. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's 7 sites that you're sandwiched in, and that's going to be a common theme. I think a lot of the remodeling they did had to do with the shower area, the restroom area. That tank, as you might have saw me wearing, it's a heavyweight merino wool tank. I think it's 320 GSM. Site 7 here. Yeah, so my core and my upper body is just, it's mainly my arms that are exposed, but that allows for temperature regulation. I'm still sweating pretty strongly, so as long as I'm active, I'm okay. It is cold out though. Once my body temperature drops, if I stop moving around, that with the sweat will be pretty serious. So I do have a backup tank top, identical, in the pack, and a backup lightweight merino wool base layer hoodie as well. I gotta remember to talk about general things on my way to and from sites rather than in them. Try to talk specifically about the site when I'm in the site specifically. That's something I'm working on as well. I'm just scared I'm gonna forget it by the time I exit the site. What I'm gonna say. There's site 8. And to deviate from what I just said, usually I will forget. I almost forgot what I was about to say now, that's why I tried to weasel it in real quick. But it usually doesn't matter what I say anyways. Probably just ends up being annoying. So if I can talk less, unlike what I'm doing now, that'll probably be beneficial holistically. Yeah, the snow is not as deep as I was thinking it might be here. Might be cool to have a drone today, because then I could zoom up and show my trail throughout all the sites in the snow when I'm done, if I'm able to finish. This is site 9 here. There is a lot of trees in this campground, which I really like. Hopefully it stays that way. Well, this might be a cool little tent area right here, depending on what the ground is like. Yeah, you're kind of pushed back from neighbors here, considering what is usually the case. Oh yeah, oh yeah. We have the car lights coming in though for this one. There's not a lot of brush here to fill in. This is probably my favorite site though, and I am a tent camper. I love these little trees here, and you are pushed back more. If you're in your tent, the lights will matter less, unless they leave them on, and a lot of knuckleheads do that. A lot of people don't camp all the time though, it's just once in a while, so that's why they don't really think of those things. But where you'd be hanging out here, now you still got a little bit of lights, but there's a lot of brush, so there's really no sitting lights that will bother you from cars. So for me personally, this site is a winner for me so far as a tent camper who's relatively antisocial. So what is this? Yep, 9. And 9 is no in German. 9. Right by the vault toilet also, and not too close. That is, yeah, I like 9. Oh, I like 8. 10. Oh, we're getting through it. We only got like 100 sites to go. This is awesome. Ooh. So we got electric here. And me personally, I never use electric. If I was traveling like state to state, I probably would, just to charge at the Jakery, as Steve Wallace would pronounce it. Speaking of which, I gotta get another bigger Jakery. I got 2 Jakeries right now, same size. I gotta get one big one. That one's about 300 bucks. I mainly use them to power the dash cams in the vehicle because it matters so much to me. I'm kind of glad I was able to start incorporating the dash cam footage because I had it just as a way to protect myself in case something happened. But it seems like when you have them, nothing happens. Whereas before, a lot of things that were crazy were happening on the road. So I've used the footage for this, the intros and stuff. I'm pretty sure I do hear a jet plane. Very high altitude. But that's another call out. I haven't really heard any jet engines yet. So we got site 11 here. So this one, you get a nice open area. The parking goes up to here. And I like the open view though to over here. That's 9. Really close to this one. I'm calling it out here because it's a little more extreme than what I've seen so far. And it's really open as well. But if you have an RV, you're probably going to want an electric site, I would assume, for the most part. But any concerns I call out about noise and close quarters with neighbors, it's really far less of an issue for you, I'm sure. Just got a tent that's almost thinner than paper. That was pretty cool. I'm hearing a lot of breaking wood. It's probably the ice, the heavy weight of the snow from the blizzard. And it was a blizzard. Here we got site 12. if I go in every site like this, I'm probably going to experience a lot of pain in my body, and I'm going to run out of time. But I'm going to keep doing it so long as it feels right. So I like to give a good view. Here you might have the temptation to cut here to go to that rest area, the showers. I assume there's showers there. There's a site right here. So that site over there that we're going to check out in a little bit, when we go around this loop, you may have traffic from this site to get to that rest area. It seems like 9 out of 10 people have to shower when they're camping, which makes no sense to me at all. I haven't showered since May of 2023. So I'm about to hit my 3-year anniversary on not using a bath or showering. And there are other ways to clean yourself, by the way, without getting a fluoride treatment. That was site 12, along with some rhetoric. And 13. Last Friday was Friday the 13th. That was kind of neat. We may have had 2 of them already this year. Alright, so this is a unique one where the vehicle comes in here, but then the actual camping area is pushed back. So I really like that. The turd with that punch bowl is this side over here, being right next to it and very open. But there's no sites here. You're near the vault toilet, which is a little close from noise and halogen lights at night perspective, but very convenient as well. The problem is this site right here. But this is an awesome site. Yeah, this is awesome. Oh man, if only this site wasn't here. If you're someone who has the capability to do a weekday camp, this might be a feasible roll of the dice, this site here. And that's from a tent camping perspective. Even still though, I mean, when you're at the picnic table just kind of relaxing, you don't want to, like, a whole family right next to you. Some people are social, like the guy who lives above me, he's remarkably social, which is terrifyingly annoying to people like me, which I believe in community and everything to a certain extent, you know. So 13's a winner for the most part. It's a roll of the dice. It does draw on creepy though. Some people, how social they can be. It gets a little like, are you socially engineering, or I mean, what are you doing really? It's a little creepy. This is alright. There's already an odor coming from it, so it's not good. The odor is so, well, the fact that I smelt it right here would indicate that there's a reasonable chance you will smell it at this site over here that we were just at. So that's another strike against that site, in my opinion. We can't check it out because it's locked. Which is probably a good thing to give that vault toilet a break. I don't think a lot of people would be using it here this time of year. So there might be some dereliction occurring. You see evidence of that sometimes, a dereliction. Like in Myrie, Big Island, you'll see people pulling up to campsites that they definitely don't have a reservation, or they'll be there when you pull up, like what happened to Stinkleberry Farmer at a site that we both camped at. That also happened to me at Minneapolis State Park. I pulled into my site and there's some knuckleheads in the driveway sitting there. I just pulled up right behind them and just sat there and waited, and they finally put their vehicle in reverse, so I got out of their way and they drove off. sure they were making out or vaping or posting an OnlyFans picture. So this says Riverside Trail. I don't want to ruin my gloves. So that's the same trail we saw that goes along to the group camp, the Riverside group camp. And we were in the Riverway Campground, semantically speaking. So I would definitely want to check out this trail. It might even loop around and go to towards where Lake Alice is. I should probably just look at it real quick. Good old Avenza. Yeah, so it just loops around. It's alongside the road we were on, Lake Alice. It goes down around the day use area, and then it comes around this way. Then it goes around that way, and it connects. So it's actually shorter than I was hoping it would be. It might be because we're kind of near private property, it looks like, maybe. Okay. It's hard to look at this while my head is tilted down so the camera can see it too, so sorry about that. That's been bothering me in editing. Well, site 15, which is electric. Alright, so we're walking parallel the other side of the loop. Still on the first loop. Site 16 here. Should probably try to pick up the pace a little. So that's extraordinarily close. You're gonna have vehicle lights from that one shining right in here. The vehicle lights from this one shining in here. Maybe not, because they'll probably reverse in. I'm sure they'll find a way to leave their reverse lights on. Oh, we actually got some electric right here. I'm not sure what that's all about. It's a little strange. Another branch snapped. There's a lot of risk in this one for me, as far as being able to enjoy myself and relax. Check out 18 first, and we'll take a gander at this. So we got a little trove here. I'm not sure what this is all about. I'd almost think this is firewood and this is a host site, but I doubt it. It is locked. So I'm thinking this is some kind of maintenance, electric or sewer, water, something like that. Some kind of access point. Well, that's kind of cool, the wood. That looks like an owl eyes. Ah, neat. So this is probably the smallest site we've seen so far. Yeah, so far, this site and this site, they should have nicked, in my opinion. Overzealous. They probably have a lot of practicality decisions to make, though, with the layout of the electricity. So, stuff like that. All right, take a gander. I wasn't able to capture that with the Merlin bird ID, but that was an interesting bird I don't see or hear often. That's for sure. No domestic pets allowed. I wish that was true in the entire campground, honestly. Don't bring a pet, please. Because what you need to know is that they will bark at everyone around them and all their surroundings. And it'll really pull from the experience of everyone else. That's true 9 out of 10 times. So I'm sorry if you don't like that, but it's true. And not every woman needs a dog, by the way. Just in case you're wondering, it's getting pretty old. I really like the format of this, though. It looks like a resume almost. It's really neat. Here's the men's room, which matters the most. Well, I like this little area back here. It's pretty cool. Sometimes it's not locked. Sometimes you get lucky. I'm not going to try the women's area, obviously. I don't want people to think I'm transitioning or anything like that. Far be it from that. Ooh. So if you're still with me to this point, I salute you. It's good to burn calories, if you know what I mean. All right, carry on. Site 20. A little open here. I really love this tree. Yeah. Cramped quarters, but nice ambience. Nice atmosphere here. Really cool. "21 here. You're pulling back right into where the rest area is. Oh, there's a vault toilet back there as well. We'll see more of that when we enter the other loop here. So if you really like the rest area, you like showering, this is probably a good site for you. You probably have an RV, of course. But you're right next to, this is probably the most close site I've ever seen so far here. Yes, it gets closer sometimes at some campgrounds. Yes, it does. It's hard to believe, I know. It's hard to believe a lot of things in society. So I don't know if this isn't, that's just a small little area here. So I wouldn't advise you tent camp in this one unless you ran out of options. Another hallmark of these mucklucks is they're not waterproof, but that allows them to be breathable, allow moisture to escape. So this cold weather is ideal for these, so the snow doesn't melt through them as easily and they become wet. So they're really for the Arctic, these mucklucks, allegedly. I've never tested in the Arctic because I've never been there. We get close to that weather sometimes here in Minnesota though. Probably like 2 weeks out of the year, every year, we're legit Arctic temperatures. Yeah, we're just surrounded by sites here. There'd almost be less people in a food court at a shopping mall if those were still popular. Then right in here, this tree held its leaves. Hear a lot of geese in the distance. Geese can get annoying. Sometimes they just never shut up. But I take the sound of geese over an argumentative girlfriend in a neighboring site. That I can tell you. Oh, I get a really nice overcast. Very nice. Got to try to take a picture of that Riverway Camp sign. Forgot to do that. Remind me before we head out here back to the parking area to take a picture of that Riverway Campground sign. And don't forget to tell me to like I'm a half mile away either. Or I will think less of you. It's like 25. Here we can see the sites along the edge here beginning as we go make our way towards the second loop. This is the last site. It looks like 26 is one more, but we're in the last two sites of this first loop here. It took a little while to get through, but that's what happens when there's a lot of deep snow. You gotta work a little harder, burn a little bit more bacon off the gut. "26. Got this little wedge area in here. Okay, so those are all the sites in the first loop here at the Riverway Campground at William O'Brien State Park, located in Marine on St. Croix, Minnesota. I wish they just called it Marine, Minnesota, but then you might not know how to spell it properly, I guess. I spell it like a female's name instead of an area where boats are used. So we're gonna, these sites that go alongside here, we're gonna save these for last. We're gonna check them out on our way out. So this will be the last one we take a look at before we exit this campground in about an hour and 20 minutes, if I were to guess. So now we're looking at sites 27 through 60. And once we turn around here, we're going to probably start breaking from the numerical aspect for practicality reasons. We might be going the wrong way on a one-way to check out some of the sites once we go around the bend here. Here we got site 27, the first site in the second loop. You're gonna have a lot of car lights hitting you. Same with this site we were just at a couple sites ago now. Coming in here. Car lights have gotten worse over the years because they have the new halogens, and they're just painfully bright, especially if you have photosensitivity. I'm surprised the powerful nature of the halogen light isn't powerful enough to dissolve the floaters in my eyes, which they seem to be unable to block, though they can block everything else. It's pretty cute. Alright, site 27 with rhetoric. So these sites look fairly staggered, which I'm always a fan of that. Got site 28. Got something growing here. Right where the pollen is. Huh, it's a little weird. Figure I wouldn't have enough time. E sign. swear these signs are right in them where you pull in almost. That one's a little off from the pulling, but this one's like right in the middle. I'm thinking they may have upgraded the electric over here as part of the reconstruction efforts over the last 2 years. Site 29. If you have any idea what these little loops do on the pole, let me know. Well, there's probably nobody watching at this point. But yeah, if you know, let me know. Get a gold star for educating me, which few have that. It's not because I know everything, but it's because I reject to listen for a delayed response. Just a quick moment. Like how they got more fence here in case they need to roll it out. It looks like they just stopped here. They said, "I'll forget it." Good enough. Okay. All right, we're now at site 30. Yeah, I love that tree. It's real close to the other site. I like how it's kind of protected from brush though, to mitigate the temptation of numbskulls tampering with it. All right, 31. So I guess we're about halfway through the sites on this campground. There are a lot of sites in this campground. They probably should have just kept it at 30. Took it a little too far. They should have probably just put like 1 or 2 camper cabins in this area of the park. It probably would be seasonal though. And this park does not have any backpack sites either. They could nestle in some over by the Beaver Dam or Beaver Lodge Trail, kinda. Maybe near that railroad bridge. Alright, Cipher-Tu. So it sounds like the end times over there with the geese. And at the other side, I almost said, oh, the geese managed to close their beaks for a while. Isn't that funny? I should have said that. I've never really heard them make those kind of sounds, though. That was kind of neat. It's almost like a machine gun geese. I'm really happy we're able to see every single fire pit here. None of them are buried, and they're using the taller kind, which are not my favorite. I like the lower ones, but for scouting in the winter, deep snow like this, it's perfect. Got the vault toilet right here. It's kind of nice to have a vault toilet here in addition to the rest area. It seems a little redundant though, given that this is not a all year round campground. It's seasonal. So usually for a campground that's open all year round, or if there's campsites that are open, camper cabins, etc., they'll have a vault toilet accessible all year. So I'm not sure why they have a vault toilet here. They may have just always had it and they just kind of kept it. Still nice to have, because I prefer the vault toilets usually rather than going in the building. The buildings usually are really moist, a lot of humidity, and it's wet if it's winter, but sometimes the vault toilets smell too bad. I say most of the time though, I prefer to just use the vault toilet. So we got 33 over here. I'm not sure why they decided to put this site here. They should have left this open, because you got a site right here, you're right by the rest area, vault toilet, site over here. It's just that knuckleheaded layout syndrome, a mind virus that it plagues whoever sets up these campgrounds. I think if you set up these campgrounds, you should be kind of an antisocial person by nature. But it seems like these campgrounds are set up by people that are like really social, like hyper social. They don't hear noise at all from other people. They just, like, they're able to tune it out. We got site 34. Wow, that's an awesome tree. This one too. Wow. Cool tree. I really like the different kinds of pine trees. As far as firewood goes, pine isn't ideal. It's kind of a good kindling. Just like the second stage of getting a fire going. Well, oak is the real good fuel firewood. Birch is really awesome though. And I think ash is okay. Birch might be my favorite because you got the birch bark on it too. That usually helps. Serves as like a tinder and a kindling. Can prepare it. Here we got site 35 right here. Alright, so this is the first half of the second loop. And then so we have the other half of this loop and then a half loop. So in that sense we have one more loop to go. So we're probably a little more than halfway through the scout of this Riverway Campground at William O'Brien State Park at Marine on St. Croix, Minnesota. I always thought they put the word "the" in there, Marine on the St. Croix. But I guess they don't take it to that level. They just call it Marine on St. Croix. Which is a little extreme. It's almost a full sentence. I guess it kind of is a sentence. Short one. Okay, so we're going to do 37 through 46, it would appear. And then 47 through 60, we're going to come around through the back door. Walk down back this way, and then backtrack. So it looks like we're going to stay numerical here for a little while more. This might be a reasonable parking area to check out the trail here. It's not a lot of space, maybe 2 vehicles. Maybe 1 piggish Ford truck. I wonder if the Ford trucks, if they come with an ego or if you develop one after you use it for a while. This is like 37. More of these handles. I'm gonna have to watch for that once someone's actually hooked up to it. Gotta see what that's all about. So this is the road that you would one way in, the half loop on the edge here. And I'm thinking my favorite site's gonna be the last one on this half loop here. But that will mean there's distance to the vault toilet, which makes that vault toilet a practical choice, given that it might be redundant that there's a rest area next to it. But the men's side might be on the other side only. I feel bad I didn't get close to it and look to be sure. It's alright. It's good to have some mystery. So they're gonna be pulling in their vehicle on this site. Like, this is absurd. So they're like popping their trunk, fiddling with their stuff here while you're here. And your tent will probably be here. So this is absurd right here. They should have nicked this site probably. And with the turning in of the cars with the headlights, though there's more daylight in the warmer months, still. Now it's 37, 38. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on this side of that building. I got a courtesy path here. And you are cutting through their site a little bit, where their vehicle would be, so that's awkward. And there might be another side of that building. That's gonna bother me. Oh well. I was too hung up on that vault toilet. Just couldn't believe it. Oh, there's parking here as well. Might be nice for that, access that trail. 38. Yeah, so we're getting some nice cover here from the clouds, and the temperature should be just slowly rising, and it should peak at 20 degrees towards the afternoon. Then every day going forward is going to be over 30, it looks like. 39. Yeah, it's pretty, that's ridiculous. This is the most ridiculous part we've observed so far, in my opinion. How close it is, where the vehicle would be. You got the exhaust of the vehicle just pumping into where you'd be at the picnic table. I just can't believe they do stuff like that when they design these campgrounds. One of those things that looks better on paper than in reality. One of the best things a mason does when they're doing brickwork is they lay it out dry. They make sure it looks good dry before they slap in the cement, solidify it. Should probably employ those techniques at campgrounds when they're creating them. But it's easy to make frivolous comments once a month. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of creepy guys like the one who lives above me that just can't wait to be right next to other people. Here we go. Really close. These are two little ones also, so this could have been just made one. Then they wouldn't have to use, they didn't even put fencing here. But if they left more spots open, they wouldn't have to use so much fencing as well. Because people would naturally not want to go into it because of how brushy it is and the fear of ticks. They could use one of those decoy, be careful of tick signs. So here's a courtesy path through this site. So this has two courtesy paths, one here over there from that site and one here to get to the rest area / vault toilet. So yeah, people might be tempted to do that even if you're camping here. Okay. Fortunately, I made the correct choice with the clothing that I wore today. Which, given the experience I have, it better be the right choice at this point. All the practicing I did and testing I did with it, the variations, it's just perfect. Everything just feels great. It's absolutely perfect. 41. So all these sites that we've seen on this part of the loop so far have been the closest out of all the sites here. Oh wow, that's really cool. That might be a wall tent pad over there. We'll see that when we get there. And then 42 back over here. This is the one that should have been joined with the other one. Oh man, I was just gonna say I really love this tree, and then notice how God smote it with his vengeance and furious anger, because he's always butthurt all the time for some reason. Figure all that power and all that glory, you'd never be mad. You'd always just be happy, want to share the wealth. I don't know, he has to smite things. Oh man, that was a cool one too. It should still thrive So maybe we can learn something about life through this. There's a point where it kind of branched off into two. And it went for years with two. You can see here. It's like a double head. And then it was smitten by a jealous and evil god who abuses his power. And this one fell. But that being said, the tree is not dead because it has the other head. And look, it looks like it's kind of fat woody as well, which means there's resin in the wood, which means it's a good fire starter. Yeah. Huh. Just wonder how recent that was. Maybe God was trying to say, you know what, you should have made this one site. I'm sick of you people doing this all the time with the close-quartered sites. And he just didn't lay it the right way. That's the only problem. That's kind of neat with the sun. All right. I'm not totally sure what the metaphor for life was through that. Seems like preparing and being ready has played a role. Laying the foundation for the future so everything isn't lost. Yeah, something like that. 42, which is the answer to everything. There's a really creepy lurker. Who knows that, don't you? Don't you, creepy lurker? Don't you? You know that 42 is the answer to everything, don't you? $43. Good. Still not 11 yet. So we're doing good. I picked it up a little. Yeah, it's good to be back here. It's good to be back. It's been almost 3 years. Again, I would have been here sooner if they didn't stretch out that construction effort, which they found a way to stretch out after they stretch it out, which is kind of cliche. 45. Oh wow, that goes in kind of deep. You could hide something in there, just make sure they're not watching you. Alright, so that's the last site in the second loop here at the Riverway Campground at William O'Brien State Park at Marine on St. Croix, Minnesota, right along the St. Croix River on a cold, icy winter morning. So these sites are the last we'll check out on the way out. We're going to go in through the outdoor and we're going to check out these sites. And since we're backtracking on this road, we're just going to walk past them first and then start numerically and then head back. So do like a pre-scout essentially. And I already like these sites the most. There's the group camp down there, but as we saw in the group camp scout when we looked at the map, it's a reasonable distance. Really interested in checking this out. This looks like a handicap accessible ramp. I have never seen that before. Wow, I have never seen that. That looks exactly what it is. Wow. It doesn't say accessible. Now, of course, they put sights on the other side too, which is a very bad move. Well, check them out. See if they ring your bell. So coming in from that road, we would have continued on this half loop up here. And the numbering is going to be a little wonky going forward. This is 47. And this is probably my favorite site, given the proximity to the river. I'm not a fan of the cars, the lights coming in and turning, sweeping the campsite. However, this is a half loop. So the majority of the sites here, people wouldn't be coming in this way, but they did find a way to cram in a lot of sites here. And just looking at the map, I would assume that these sites might have more popularity given they're not completely sandwiched with neighbors. And because this may be an accessible site, the risk of it being occupied is reduced substantially. Although that is changing over the years as more people abuse that privilege, as you will see in airports, which I heard a rumor of. I don't use airports because they're stupid, but I heard that's really being taken advantage of. Parking as well, you see a lot of handicap stickers, and a lot of people really don't need them. I think there's a lot of people who are caregivers that just abuse that privilege even when they're not providing care. That's one aspect, but enough said. Before we continue in finishing this site, I want to go through here towards the trail, and I just want to see if I can get a picture of the river here. As you can see, you got your own little access to the trail here as well. You might want to put a tripwire over there at night. Oh, that is such a cool sound. Wow. Yep, it's a cool trail. It's a pretty short trail though, given how long a trail can be. Wow, that is awesome. Whew. Yeah, you don't want to fall in there. That'd be very bad news. It should be Wisconsin on the other side. I'm sure everybody who lives over there is on this side, driving on the roads. Oh, that might even be a little, like an island in there before we get to the other side. Interesting. Looks like I had SOS only at this point. So at some point, we lost cell service in this area. Yeah, there's a little island right there. That's cool. That is cool. All right, back to this site. So this site is a little bit of a walk to the vault toilet. It looks like a tent pad right here. See a kind of outline. I'm thinking one of these picnic tables goes over here. Yeah, this is probably the site I would go with. If I was able to. I think this is the one I was mulling over when I first scouted here a few years ago. 47. So I had to guess. I think maybe this is the one Stinkleberry would go with as well. Guess we'll see one day. The numbering gets a little wonky. Yeah, this is ridiculous proximity. Nice newer picnic tables. I prefer the older ones. These are beautiful. I'm sure they age very nicely. It's got a handicap logo on it too, so there's a picture of a wheelchair on each end. So they make it accessible. They're almost, I know it's difficult being handicapped for a lot of people, but they're almost making life too easy to be handicapped, in a sense. But I'm sure that'll change for me soon. That's probably a dumb statement. It's hard to say what I'm trying to say. 50 with rhetoric. Okay. Now this one here. So parking would be right here. Yeah, it's just so close to that site over there. I just think that this would be a handicap site given this ramp. God, it's right here to... Oh, it's just so irritating how close everything is. So I've never seen a wheelchair ramp at a campsite ever. I know there are people who have serious injuries and stuff like that. Our culture is working to make things more easy to be handicapped when you don't need to be handicapped. You should just live a healthier lifestyle with nutrition and exercise. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So in that sense, it's kind of sad to see something like this, but in the sense that there's people that are legitimately handicapped from injuries and diseases and stuff that they had no control over, literally. Or for that reason, I'm a fan of this right here. This is pretty awesome. So it's a double-edged sword as far as how I feel about this. I'm gonna go to the site, the web page. Oh, I can't. There's no internet here. I was gonna see if this is accessible. I can just do it in editing, I guess. And I just don't see a handicap logo anywhere. But you can see a form here as well under the snow. So it's a really nice ramp. And they don't have the classic accessible fire pit. It's usually a lot taller with a different kind of a grate on it, which isn't 100% the standard, but often you will see that. I've never seen that before. We got 52. This is insanely close. Like, you know, sometimes when you eat something and you'll have stomach noise, like your stomach just won't shut up. Like, you're gonna hear stomach noise from from the neighbor. It's insanely close. Insane. I don't know. When I go camping, I just try to get closer to nature and less city. But maybe there's people that are in the nature that are trying to get more city when they go camping. I know, 51. May have just heard a hawk in the distance. I like how this tree does this. That's probably a good area for a tent. A little close to here. Wow, them trees are awesome. And if you're a hammocker, stop being a hammocker. At least in a campground like this, it's just kind of absurd. In my old neighborhood, there was this house that had this hammock set up on 2 trees. Like, it was always there. And these trees, they weren't that big, and I seen this guy sitting in it, and I don't know, it's just kind of something piggish about it, you know, just putting all that gut weight on 2 trees that don't deserve it. 53. So they have some lights in the distance from vehicles coming this way for a little while, but they don't come all the way down. This is a one-way. Now this site isn't bad. It's a good size. Still kind of close quarters here. It's hard to believe that these are 2 sites. It's not just the one. These are 2 sites over here. It's hard to believe. The one over here is a little pushback, considering how some of them are right on top of each other. A little open for me personally. It's probably in the top 10 list of sites here at this campground for me. Alright, now the final stretch. $55. I like how this one is smaller, but it's too close specifically to this site here. Too close to this one as well. So they should have nicked every other site, like always. vehicle lights will be coming in this way. Too much of a slope for a tent, I can tell just from here, even with the snow. So your tent will probably go in here, which is closer to this creepy path to this side here, and in the view of the headlights. But nothing behind you except the road, which is pushed back. Don't forget to tell me to take a picture of that sign before we head out. So here the headlights will be coming from this way. Well planned. 56. So we got some stuff. Can't think of the name. Tree stuff. Blocking the drive. I'm sure they'll clear this out when the season opens up. This will probably be cleaned out by May. About a month and a half. Nice and open. If you like that. Really nice overcast. Oh. Still pretty bright though, my glasses are tinted. Rest pause. All right, 57 through 60. So we are almost there, guys. Almost there. 57. A lot of slantiness going on here as well, in addition to being extraordinarily sandwiched between these two sites. And you're in the view of the headlamps also. They should have not done this site. It's just so painful to know they spent 2 years remodeling it and they signed off on this layout. It's so sad. It's an abuse of funds and it's an abuse of power. And it's a form of corruption, in my opinion. People who don't have the right thing in mind when they're doing a layout for a campground, especially in Minnesota, which is a really plush state, pay a lot in taxes here. So it's kind of sad that they do this. 58. I really like these trees here. partial ferry fort here. A ferry fort is when you got like a bunch of, like a tree that's split and you got like a little area inside of it. Oh, you know what? Them headlamps coming out there, that was actually a one-way, so that won't be a problem on that one. Sorry about that. It still stands what I said, that site should be nicked. It's too close to the surrounding sites. This is another one where they're going this way, so you're not going to have headlamps coming from here. Sometimes you'll have knuckleheads doing that though, but it's not often. Yeah, a little bit of brush here to block the neighboring site. This site's got a little bit more space to it, a little slanty. I don't know what all this is about over here though. I'm not sure what this is. This might have something to do with septics, electricity, I don't know for sure. I don't hear anything from it. If it is electrical based, there might be a buzzing sound here. But everything's turned off for the season, so I wouldn't know. So that's a gamble. The buzzing sound from electrics, or the hum that can occur, it can be very disheartening. It's a form of torture to a certain extent. So that's possible there. Close. Okay. All right, and the final site, site 60. I've seen enough leftover wood throughout this campground today to make a full bundle. It kind of hurts when you see wood and you don't need it. That's a really big chunk. That's not that big. It's a good piece though. That's for sure. All right, there it is. We did it. St. Patrick's Day Scout of the Riverway Campground at William O'Brien State Park at Marine on St. Croix, Minnesota. Or in Marine on St. Croix. It's a weird name for a city. It's hard to, I'm not sure how to say it right. All right. Good to see you again, buddy. Hope you have a good season. Have a good year. If you do a camp here, let me know how it went. So the goal now is to get back to the vehicle by 12, so about 30 minutes. And then I'll take a little bit of a 15-minute break or something, and I'll drive closer to the Savannah campground, and we're gonna scout that one. And I am pushing it. I still feel okay though. It's a little pain in my left hip. But I can definitely keep going. I'm gonna be pretty smoked at the end of it though, that's for sure. Probably been a couple hours here. I haven't stopped moving, so I'm thinking that break will go a long way in rejuvenating. But the snow really takes a toll on you when you're walking through it. But there won't be no snow on this road. I'm kind of shocked that they plowed it actually, because they barricaded this area off. There's some kind of shelter over here too. Ooh. All right. And these mucklucks, they don't work as well when they're not in snow. They kind of high-heeled a little, so it's a little weird for me. But they're fashioned that way to help with insulation from the ground in cold environments. And they also help you with digging into snow better, deep snow like we were in. So the walk on the road here will be a bit easier. Everything's more level. However, it'd be a little weirder given how the mucklucks respond to it. So far my feet feel just fine. There's no hot spots. They don't feel wet. Try to get another picture of Lake Alice here real quick. Looks like we got some hikers on here. Maybe a skier as well. Now, this is not an official skiing trail, so you wouldn't need a ski pass to ski on it. And I don't think they frown upon skiing on regular winter hiking trails like they would frown upon hiking on skiing trails, groomed ski trails. Yeah, there's water in there. Lake Alice. So we're gonna hike back on this trail, or this road, around up there, back to the parking area near the visitor center. Take a quick break. I'm gonna have a Noka, which is a convenient little smoothie packet. Some nuts, which would be consist of peanuts and cashews. You know, cashews are probably technically a fruit, I've heard. No, they're not. They're nuts. Cashews are nuts. I don't care what the science says. And I should probably nurse a little water I have in my pack, which would make the pack lighter. And I'm definitely gonna nurse some coffee. I have some caribou French roast that I brewed at home, of course. I really don't go to Caribou Coffee ever, because if I had money like that, I'd probably have an RV. If I had money like that, I would just burn my money instead of using wood, which in a sense, when I buy firewood, I am burning money. But it's a little different than taking a wad of paper money and burning it than it is a chunk of wood and burning that costs $1. So that's what I mean by that. Wow. It's crazy to think how much my life has changed since I was last here. In most ways, good. Yeah, I'd say probably a lot better. Be careful, buddy. Oh, that sign's ready to come off. Yeah, I remember when I first saw this lake. Kind of wish God would quit destroying the things that I've grown to cherish over the last several years. So I'll continue to do the hike out of here to show the perspective. And then we'll cut. Then I'm going to do another video with the Savannah campground, if all goes well there. Last year I had I just felt my senses were telling me that the park ranger was kind of watching me a little hard, and I didn't want him to haggle me. It was just a gut instinct. A lot of people thought it was paranoia, but it was just a gut instinct. I just had a sense. In hindsight, probably nothing would have happened. That was good old St. Patrick's Day. It made it cold on this one again. I did a St. Patrick's Day camp here, and I'll show you the campsite when we scout that Savannah campground. Pretty sure it's site 70. That's still like one of the top 5 coldest camp trips I've ever done. It was like in the teens the whole time. It's really cold. Fahrenheit. That was pretty brutal. I cut myself really bad too. So I had to go in my vehicle and attend to my wound. It's kind of a deep cut on my hand. If I didn't have the vehicle right there, I would have just gone in my tent probably, and I probably would have still been alright. The blood was coming out, so I would have risked getting like blood on my tent and my sleeping bag. Sorry about that. So I had the convenience of my vehicle. I could just hop in it real quick, turn it on, also get warm air. But it's hard to feel your hands sometimes when it's that cold. And oftentimes I'll take blood thinner or headache medicine that thins the blood. I can't remember for sure, but there's a good chance I had some of that in me as well. So that was working against me in that scenario. Make sure I got a picture of that group camp sign. I don't think I got a picture of the group camp sign. I could have swore I remember seeing it. Maybe I body cammed it. I get better quality with the phone. I really like the body cam because of the timestamp and the GPS coordinate aspect. And it also tells me the name of the body cam. And that comes in handy just for me personally when I'm using footage or pictures from other body cams. Just kind of interesting to know. They're kind of like my buddies. They've been along with me the whole way. Let's kind of see which, it's cool to see which one was with me at the time. Okay, just in case. They're a little darker when the sun is facing towards you than towards the sign from behind you. And I still don't have cell signal. We had it coming in and then we lost it. I'm thinking it's because we're in the lower area here. But when as we curve up and start going upward towards the visitor center, I'm thinking that's where the service picks up. So you will probably not have cell phone service in the Riverway Campground or the Riverside Group Camp area. It'll probably be spotty at best. However, if you have a cell booster, I've never used those before, because the service is so spotty, it'll probably work really good with a booster. It'll be more than enough probably to amp it up where it needs to be. You know, preparing for this, I can't remember for sure because I just kind of did it in my head, but I was thinking I was planning 2 hours for the Riverway Campground and the Riverside Group Camp and 3 hours for the Savannah Campground. I ended up getting here an hour later than I planned, but that didn't matter because I planned it a little earlier than I should have. So I slept in a little and then I actually took the long way here, which is probably a 20 minutes added on, just because I felt like taking a longer route, and I wanted to ensure that I drove in through Stillwater because I like driving through Stillwater. It's my favorite downtown. Though I did learn recently that Hastings has a cool downtown area. I recently went through an area of that city that I really haven't gone through before that I can recall, and it has a really cool downtown area. And I believe Hastings is the county seat for Dakota County. We are in Washington County right now. I did a scout of the backpack campsites at Myrie Big Island State Park last year. And there's a part right that looks a lot just like this right here. It's about a mile from where you would park when you're heading in towards the backpack sites. About a mile. And where you would park would be in the towards the end of the White Fox campground. And that is a seasonal campground, so the backpack sites are probably seasonal as well. Which is kind of unfortunate if that's true, because the hike into the sites is actually reasonable enough for a pulk. If there's snow, you could use a pulk, and it's really ideal for that actually. So I got a scout of those backpack sites. I show the whole hike in there, shows you everything. You should check that out if you're interested in those sites. They're not bad either. One of them is right across the lake from the Little Island group camp, and that's a really good one. You can see the causeway as well. And then the other backpack sites are pushed further back. They're more private. Two of them are kind of near each other though, but one of them is like it's in its own little spot. I believe that's backpack site 2. It's right near its own little vault toilet as well. It's on a trail, so it's not like your own latrine, but it has a vault toilet near it. Though that would be kind of a creepy walk at night. But yeah, when I was there, I kind of pointed out, if I remember correctly, that that area reminded me of this area. This is kind of what it looks like when you go to the Riverway Campground at William O'Brien State Park. You head down this way, and over here is Lake Alice. It looks a lot like this. That's kind of neat. I would have scouted this sooner if it wasn't for the construction that had been occurring. There's actually like 2 or 3 times I was about to do it. That construction, they just kept dragging it out. And based on what I saw, I think they're just milking the cow, you know, with the funds. Because I was expecting to see like something spectacular. But I think it had to do more with like electricity upgrades. We'll just make it less of an inviting campground for me. With more electricity, there's more RVs. We're almost in the visitor center parking area, so we're gonna put a bow on this scout here pretty soon. Yeah, so thanks for taking a look. I hope this helped. If it did, I'd really appreciate it if you let me know. If you're one of the 5 people that got to this part, if you could just let me know, it'd be really cool. I'd really appreciate that. Hope you have good trips. If you're from Iowa or Wisconsin, please just stay in your state. Especially Wisconsin, I just see those plates all the time on the roads here, and it's not just the eastern part of the state. They're all over the place. If you could just stay in your state more, that'd be awesome. There's a lot to do in your state too. And that's one place I never really ever want to go. So you don't have to worry. I mean, this request is reciprocal. You don't have to worry about me driving on your roads. There's a bridge for 95. Still got SOS only. Sometimes my phone, when it goes to SOS only, it won't, even if I get signal again, it won't go back to normal. I gotta shut it down and restart it. But I had decent cell signal here when we got here. It wasn't the best, but it updated the weather, and it didn't take that long to do it. I should have probably ended it back there, zooming into Lake Alice. But I'll end it zooming into the direction of our next destination, which is the Savannah Campground, which is that way. I'm definitely going to be pushing it, but I'm not new to pushing it as far as these scouts go. And I have a lot of time. It'll probably be less than 3 hours to accomplish the scout there. But if I need 6 hours, even 7 hours, because the sun isn't going to set till like 7. So I got more than enough time. And so Stillwater, on 95 Stillwater's in that direction. That's where you'd go for Athens State Park as well. And I'm pretty sure Taylor's Falls is still that way. Although I do get confused a lot. Pretty sure it is. It's north of here. Take 95 north from William O'Brien State Park and be headed in the right direction. It might even be on the same... No, I think you got to turn a little bit. Yeah, my mind's kicking in. So you go straight till you hit like a roundabout, and then you turn right, and then from there you go straight, and Interstate Park would be on your right. It's pretty close to here. Still have SOS only, but I'd say it's probably less than 30 minutes from here. In a vehicle, of course. If you walk though, you might be able to get there in like 5 hours if you walked. Alright, so we're back. We're pretty much on task for the goal. That probably took an hour longer than I was thinking. I'm thinking the Savannah campground though will be less than 3 hours. Ooh, they got some fire going on down there. Wow. Alright, so if you're interested in checking out the Savannah campground, stick around for the next one. See you there. As for this one, thanks for taking a look. Take care.